welcome back to another video! This week I'm going to be doing a video essay style video. I've got a script to follow and everything, and as you can see by the title, I kind of wanted to talk about why I hate Instagram coming from a digital artist's perspective. This video essay is going to cover 6 points into what I dislike about Instagram as a platform for building an audience for your art, as well as finding a community of artists. This is my opinion in general as a disclaimer. I'm not claiming that this is fact or anything like that. I do consider it my opinion, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts. I actually encourage you to give me your thoughts on these topics in the comments. I'm just really interested in talking about this from a variety of different perspectives. I also wanted to say that the majority of these things that I'm going to be outlining, they're not exclusive to Instagram. They're prevalent in any online platform, I would say, but I do find them particularly prominent on Instagram as a platform. And to give you just a quick TLDR of the topics I'm going to be covering, the overall of quick of why I hate Instagram as an artist, it's that there's capitalism, art theft, bots, engagement rates, growth tactics, and oversaturation. That's just the big overview of why I hate Instagram, but obviously I'm going to take each of those points and talk a little bit more about them. So let's just jump right into it. I wanted to first talk about a little bit about who I am and where I'm coming from for forming these opinions. I've been a digital artist for 15 years. I started posting my art online on Facebook actually around 2009. I'm using pages to post art. Then I lived on DeviantArt for around 5 years. I was using DeviantArt very intensely from around 2011 to 2016, and then I jumped away from DeviantArt because the community there kind of stagnated. I found there was a lack of diversity and a lack of engagement. Separate from that online artist thing, I went to school for marketing and advertising, and I currently work as a social media marketing communications coordinator, and I've had around 2 years of experience now in this field. I work in corporate social media, which is very different from influencer social media, but I do have professional experience in this field using these tools. So with that being said, I just wanted to give that little bit of background about where I'm coming from for these opinions of why I hate Instagram so much. And so let's just get right into my first big point against Instagram, I would say: capitalism. My reasoning for this is that Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook is really interested in incurring a profit, and so they're trying to push the whole marketplace aspect. Even on Facebook, there's my Facebook Marketplace, but then a really good example of how this translates to Instagram is that in the last 6 months, I think there was this update that added a shopping tab to Instagram, and they remodeled the app to put the button to access the shopping tab where the notification button used to be. And you have people that have been using Instagram for years and years and years, getting all this muscle memory about where your notifications are, and instead of there being notifications, there's a shopping tab now. And that's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly manipulative to use your muscle memory, and then it's in the top right corner, which if you have a slightly bigger phone or a smaller hand, you completely have to change your position of your hand on the phone to access your notifications, which I hate. Another thing involving capitalism on Instagram is that there's so much sponsored content, and this comes both from paid ads and boosted posts and influencers as well. And in general, there's just this huge culture around Instagram about gaining money and selling things, which to me makes it detract from the community aspect. The next big point that I want to cover about why I hate Instagram as a platform is just art theft. Art theft is obviously prevalent on every platform, but I feel like it's particularly common on Instagram. What I consider art theft is reposting a piece of creative without the permission or credit towards the original creator. There's a lot of accounts that just repost fan art as the thing that they do. They might add captions, they might make edits and things like that. Sometimes they even erase watermarks. They almost never give credit. And these accounts end up getting a lot more followers because they kind of curate fan art for a particular fandom or something like that, but they're not creating the art themselves. So they're able to post more often, which leads to getting more viewers, getting more followers, getting just more traction overall compared to the original artist that made that piece. And then even with Instagram adding add this post to your story, which is similar to on Tumblr you can reblog, or on Twitter you can retweet, there's still so much art theft. People are much more likely to, again, continue with their reposting accounts rather than becoming promotional accounts where they're sharing things to their stories to help promote artists, but link it back to the original creator. it's really frustrating to see these accounts. I always try to do my best to, when I see an artist I'm not familiar with or see art from an artist I don't recognize, to go to their profile to check if this is a reposting account or if this is actually the artist account, because I do not want to be contributing my like or my engagement to somebody who didn't actually create the work. And I always do try to go, if they do give credit, to go to the person they're giving credit, even if it's on another platform. And then separate from just regular people stealing small creators' art, there's also a lot of brands that steal designs and steal art to sell products with that on it, and they also steal content from influencers to promote their products without the influencers giving permission and stuff like that. That's also very common on Instagram, and there's not that much of a system to report this sort of thing that's handled well. The next big point about why I hate Instagram is the bots. So there's a couple really common bots that you encounter on Instagram. There's the bots that follow and then unfollow you. There's the bots that leave a generic 2 emoji comment. And then there's the bots that give a comment that's sort of like a generic positive thing and then say, oh, please check out my page, I also make content. And it's 100% spam. These bots are designed to kind of farm followers for other accounts. They're like purchased, and it's definitely not allowed in the terms and guidelines, but somehow they manage to program around that. And it, to me, it's just really frustrating as a creator when you're like, oh, I got a comment, and then you recognize it as one of these bots, and it's really disheartening. You get excited and then you find out it's just you're just getting manipulated again. But yeah, overall these bots create a false sense of engagement, and they're just using you, they're lying to you, they're extorting you to grow other accounts without actually being genuine. It's just really frustrating to have such a big economy of bots and scams on Instagram. My next point is that overall on Instagram, the engagement is low. Excuse me if I go into a little bit of marketing mumbo jumbo here, but we're going to talk about a number called the engagement rate. The engagement rate is out of the number of people that have seen your post, how many of them have done something, say like, share, or comment, or gone to your page to follow. So out of, say, 100 people saw your post, 5 of them did something like, share, or comment, your engagement rate is 5%. So according to Sprout Social, from a February 2021 report, the average engagement rate on Instagram is 1.22%. So that means that 1.22% of people who view something that you've made would do something like, comment, or share, on average, right? It depends on your profile, whatever. To give you a comparison, I found a metric for the average engagement rate on YouTube, and that metric was 4% according to TubeFilter in 2019. And then the Infinite Agency in August 2020 reported that the average engagement rate on TikTok is between 3 and 9%. Outside of all the marketing mumbo jumbo, what that means is that on Instagram, it's less likely that someone that viewed your post will react to it compared to other platforms. And to me, that implies there's this culture of continuing to scroll, absorbing things without really thinking about things, without actually sitting down to look at it, to form a thought, to say, do I like this or do I not like this? You're just looking at it and then you carry on, and then you look at it and then you carry on. And it's this self-perpetuating culture where you're not giving comments, and if you're not receiving comments, then you're less likely yourself to feel inclined to comment on other people's things, because it's not the way that Instagram has been operating lately. And it's really disheartening when you're trying to find community, when you're trying to make some art friends and stuff like that. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of low engagement. My next topic about why I hate Instagram, this is a pretty big one, so hang in there with me. It's growth tactics. So a lot of people, including myself, have a lot of advice on how to grow on social media. I feel like this is a genre in and of itself. In my work, I do this, I create this kind of content, and it's useless. Let me just give you a quick rundown of, from an artist perspective, what the advice is to grow your Instagram, right? I've consumed a lot of this content. I can give you the basic rundown. It says, take nice photos of your art, post frequently, use appropriate tags, and make a mix of popular fan art and your original stuff, and be consistent. These are the things people tell you that will make it so your Instagram succeeds, that you can gain a following of 10,000 people for your art Instagram. But this stuff ignores the huge luck factor. It completely ignores that the algorithm is the evil overload that controls everything. The people who are giving this advice, the people that you're clicking on to get this advice from, have this paradox of I did it, so can you. But they don't consider that they got lucky as well. They don't consider that maybe they started posting right when Instagram was blowing up, where people were consuming content without making as much content, so they were able to pick up momentum and stuff like that. Or they might have brought in a bunch of following from another platform, say like DaVinci or YouTube or something like that. They don't consider that just following the rules and having good content will guarantee growth, because it's a lottery. It doesn't work like that. And yeah, if you continue posting, if you have a decent amount of quantity, it does kind of entitle you to more lotto tickets to potentially make you win. But even so, it's really frustrating if you're trying to do everything right and it doesn't work out, because even if you're following all the tips, if you're following all the tutorials, if you're putting your heart and soul into it and you're still not seeing the results, it's not your fault, because it really is a gamble, and it's just the way Instagram is built. And this leads us pretty well into our next point, which is oversaturation. Everything has already been done on Instagram. There's so much content out there. There's even content that's getting reposted and stolen, which exponentially increases how much of the content gets out there without really being valuable. So everything has already been done on Instagram. The only real opportunities that you might see to get benefits from the algorithm is to test out the new features, because Instagram, like when they first released stories, they were promoting more stories, less people were making stories. You had an opportunity to stand out by making stories. Same thing happened with IGTV, same thing is happening right now with Reels. And since right now they're pushing Reels, they are trying to change the algorithm to make it so they show less reposted TikToks on Reels and they try to show more original Reels. And that's when TikTok kind of reformatted where they put their watermark when you download a TikTok. So Instagram has to relearn how to exclude that. Anyway, if you want to try to blow up your Instagram, I do recommend doing Reels, because that's what Instagram is pushing right now. But even if you do manage to get a bigger viewership, and this is also based on my experience, if you manage to get a bigger viewership through the Instagram Reels, that doesn't negate the previous points that I had, particularly the low engagement rate. I'll give you a quick example. So I posted a reel on Instagram that got around 3,100 views. This reel ended up occurring 114 likes and 5 comments. A similar video that I posted on TikTok that got around about the same amount of views, 3,300, ended up getting 538 likes and 31 comments. So that's 5 times the amount of likes and 6 times the amount of comments. And just keep in mind that I'm the kind of person that replies to every comment, so around half of those comments are just me. But if that gives you an idea that for the same amount of views, TikTok has a greater magnitude of engagement by 500%, it's crazy, and it's very frustrating that Instagram has such a low engagement culture. So that's essentially my big TED Talk. I'm just going to go through a quick conclusion here, that I really hate Instagram for trying to grow an art account or anything sort of, if you're trying to like grow a business. Instagram markets itself as a place to build an audience, to find community, but I couldn't disagree more with that positioning. Between the lack of engagement and the culture where everyone focuses on themselves primarily and doesn't try to engage with others, the unpredictability of the algorithm, it isn't effective. The thing I have the most trouble with is because people are desperate to grow on Instagram, there's this entire market of people giving advice on how to grow on Instagram, but this doesn't really work the way that they intended to, because you're hearing the success stories from the successful people, but you're not hearing the realities of the people that are struggling to get there. And speaking as someone who works in this field professionally, again, this is my day job, even if you're doing it all right, even if you're doing all the proper hashtags, even if you're being consistent, even if you're like doing everything you're supposed to do, it's still largely based on luck. Posting more and keeping up with trends and doing everything you're supposed to do does help, and it gives you the opportunity to potentially be successful, but it doesn't guarantee it. And it shouldn't come at the expense of your mental health. Trying to be successful online, it shouldn't come at the expense of your mental health, and I feel like that a lot of people suffer from that. I've gone through a lot of phases where I really suffered from that, and I feel like Instagram is one of the worst examples, because it's not even fun. You can't even make a small little community of friends. Like all of my friends that I engage with on Instagram are friends that I met outside of Instagram. On DeviantArt and on YouTube and other platforms, I've made new friends that I get to enjoy their content and have them look at mine, and it's this back and forth and stuff. But on Instagram, it doesn't work that way. So as an alternative, I've mentioned this in another video, I think TikTok has a really, really good audience potential. There's a lot more opportunity to build an audience there. If you're interested more on the the making friends and having a group of people with similar levels, similar interests to interact with. Amino and Artful are both really good apps for that I've found, that have a really good small like pockets of community. Like you won't go viral through Amino or Artful, but you could make a nice group of like 10 to 15 art friends and things like that. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm actually really looking forward to reading the comments on here. I think that there's a lot to talk about and everybody comes from a different perspective. In regards to this, yeah, I'm just obviously I got a bit heated here, but there's a lot to talk about Instagram for artists, and I just needed to get it off my chest. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all sometime.